Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy and this is the Ask Video Mail for the week of February 25th, 2013. Welcome to the site to the new members and welcome back to the old. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it. So please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. You can even send me your Maya file. I love to open them up and show you on screen what's going on within Maya. Go ahead and do that if you've never done that already. Now, it is the 25th, which means you have 3 days if you want to participate in this little giveaway that I'm doing. I'm giving away 2 copies of How to Cheat in Maya 2013. 1 copy to the best 2 videos of you performing the opening to a KennyRoy.com Ask Video Mail. I have not received one yet. Maybe it was a really bad idea. I don't know. I thought people were going to be into it, especially if there's a free book involved. But c'est la vie. So if you want to do that, if you want to participate, just go on camera, turn the camera on yourself, record that first, the opening of a KennyRoy.com Ask Video Mail all the way up until I say it's the most out of the site, period, and then you're done. So the first 2 people that turn it in right now will get a free book. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about it. Maybe it was a dumb idea. I don't know. I thought it was fun. Man, it is a bad day to be a VFX artist. It is a really sad, sad, sad Monday morning. Last night was the Oscars, and we basically took a shellacking on stage. Not only did the cast of the Avengers, 2 of whom spend more than 50% of their time on screen as a completely digital character, not only did they completely give a totally unenthusiastic, insulting introduction to the VFX Oscar category, but Bill Westenhofer, who won for his work on Life of Pi, along with the others from Rhythm and Hues, were cut off. They were played off stage by the Jaws theme. Dun, 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 dun. It completely uncalled for, totally rude. I've never seen anything like that, ever. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen them, play music like, nice calm music, and they come up a little bit, and they come up, to give you a hint, like, all right, come on, wrap it up. But I've never seen them play such an abrasive sound, and then they cut the mics. Never seen them cut the mics. It was unbelievable. So today on Facebook, myself and all my Facebook friends are changing our profile picture to be a green screen, just a bright green color, to show our solidarity with the visual effects artists that worked so hard on that film and got no recognition. Even Ang Lee didn't mention at all the visual effects team that basically won him the Oscar. That film is not, Life of Pi is a great film, but it's not anything without the visual effects, without the tiger and that expansive ocean. It's really, really sad. I told you guys in a video mail, I can't even remember if it was last week or the week before, that I was going to try to think of a way to fix the industry, and I have an idea. I can't do it by myself, though. I don't know. I don't know who could help me do it, but I have an idea. So I'm going to keep it under wraps a little while and stew on it, and see if I can bring some individuals who might be able to realize this with me. But I have an idea how to fix this. The problem is that a lot of studio owners, visual effects studio owners, don't want to rock the boat, no pun intended, with the movie studios. And then the cycle continues. I think I've come up with a way to, break that cycle. I need some water. Anyway. So that's that. I teased everybody on Facebook last week with an announcement that I am going to be changing animation collaboration. I'm going to be putting it on its head, and I said, who's with me? And I got a lot of likes and a lot of shares on that post. There's a major announcement coming. Very, very, very important major announcement is coming. It's very close to being here, and I'm very excited to show it to you guys. You guys are going to hear about it first, of course, and just get excited because I'm doing something very, very big, and I hope you guys can come along for the ride. Hope you can join me on it. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. So let's get into the question. This is an Ask Videomail after all, so we got to get a little bit of work done. Got to chew the fat with, take the bad with the good. So let's go check it out. Take a look at the question. Wow, you know what? That's an awesome question. I love it. Why? Because it is somebody thinking how to improve their workflow, how to make their fundamental approach. It sounds like they're using the fundamental approach, which was first proposed in my advanced workflow lecture. If you're looking for that, I think it's like the first or second video that's in the store. So go all the way down to the bottom of the store and look for it. It's this person really trying to kick their workflow up a notch. And I thought about this a long time ago, and I never even dawned on me to use layers to do this. They offer a really good advantage, layers do, to this process. I realized after reading this question, you could also do it with C-sets. So both C-sets and layers offer this functionality. They offer it in a different way though, the way that they work. So, and there are two different ways of working. But if you are like me and you like the fundamental approach and you like this animator, then it makes a lot of sense to try to group channels together to give you that visual feedback, that visual aid in making things work. I love that. I love that. The fundamental approach, just so if you haven't seen those lectures, you should check them out. Advanced workflow, excuse me. I think the workflow walkthrough 1, 2, and 3 as well have it in there, and maybe I think those are the ones that really feature it. Fundamental approach, really quickly boiled down, is when you are thinking about your scene as a combination of the fundamentals, not just like, oh, I need to mix squash and stretch in here and anticipation in here. Nothing like that. You're still taking the same approach to your animation as you would if you didn't know about fundamental approach, but it's a way of thinking about what you're putting into your scene, especially cycles and stuff like that, but with everything else. Thinking about it as, what does this in the long run, at the very end of the life of this shot, turn into? So for instance, in the example I give in the advanced workflow lecture, you have a guy walking down the street and he looks really sad. Well, what controls how sad he looks? That high level note of like sadness, what actually, if you go all the way back to the fundamentals, what controls that? I would say there's like overlap in the spine. Right, so he's walking and he's like, oh, whatever. If you want him really sad, then you're going to have a lot more overlap. Or if you want him less sad, he's just going to be kind of, less overlap like that. So overlap in the spine controls the sadness. But what controls overlap in the spine? Rotate X on these like 3 controllers. So if you are constantly selecting these 3 controllers and changing the rotate X like in the spine, then you could say that that's almost like a knob, like a little like a mixing board. Like you can adjust, make tiny little adjustments to all these little knobs and control high level concepts like sadness in the scene. Because what happens is when you're working on the job, it happens all the time. Director, supervisor, whatever will come by and say like, hey, this is great, animation's looking good. He needs to look a little sadder. Just make him look a little sadder. Well, that's very high level. Sadness, that's a performance note. How can you address the performance note with a very easy, low level adjustment? That's what the fundamental approach is about. Anyway, so obviously if you're on board with fundamental approach, like I am, of course, because I proposed it, and this animator is, it makes a lot of sense that you'd want a way, if you're continuously grouping together, if you're continuously, for instance, selecting all the controls in the spine, let's say there's 3, 4, 5 of them, and having to adjust and look at rotate X, it would be a good idea for there to be a way to group them together. And I don't know why, it just never dawned on me that C-sets would work for this, and layers do as well. They offer different functionalities though, so we're just going to jump into mine real quick and I'm going to show you the difference. Maybe if you want to make this part of your workflow, it'll speed you up. So check it out. Okay, so in Maya, I'm just going to create a ball, right? And as you are aware, in the channel editor, you get all your channels, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this and make it into just like a really simple spine by just parenting these, okay? So now we have basically our FK spine, okay? So if I set a few keys on this, like that, we have basically the kind of movement that you'd imagine like in a character, okay? So, but look at this. If I'm constantly going select 2, 3, selecting all of these, or selecting them like that, and then having to go into the rotate. In fact, let's offset them just a little bit so we can see what's happening here. Okay, so if I have to select all of them at all times, and let's do this. You know, let's make things a little bit more complicated by adding into the mix. Okay. All right. So if this is what my curves look like, if it's such a pain in the butt to select all of those, or and go like show selected, or go to show selected types first and select them, and then this is all I see. But then if I want to grab the translation, oh, I got to go back here, go show all, and like, wait, where is the translation? Oh, there it is. These two. Okay, well, these show selected. Move that out of the way. Grab all these. There we go. See what I mean? It's like if you're trying to do the fundamental approach, really like looking at just these curves can be a little bit cumbersome. The method is not perfect, and my workflow is not perfect. That's one of the things I always try to emphasize about workflow, is that workflow is not a one and done thing. You don't think about workflow once until you are happy with it. It's every single time you open up your scene, you're paying specific attention to exactly what you're doing. Okay, so let me show you the two ways that that you can do this. One way you could do it is you could make a C set. So the way you make a C set is you can create, you go into F2 for the animation menu set, and you go create character set. You call it a, like here, like I typed in happiness, okay? And if you go from channel box, if you reset this, right? Let me make this happiness again. If you go to all keyable, except all that stuff, you want to go from channel box and then select the channel that you want. So rotate Z is happiness on these on this character, okay? Leave everything else default and hit create character set. Now your character set will load up down here, and you need to be careful. The downside to using a character set, okay, is that when you hit S to set key, it'll set a key on every single channel in this character set, okay? And you can't get away from that, all right? So you got to be very careful. But if you want to just like work on the character and be doing your thing, translating stuff around, whatever you want to do, and then you want to go back to the happiness, right? Open up your what do you call it? Your graph editor here. Switch to happiness, okay, and then why is it doing that? Oh, there we go. That's what I should have done. Okay, so select the character set, in the outliner, and then in the graph editor, it will load up. See, I screwed up a little bit. I see the difference is that when you select that object, it will load all the channels. But the character set itself, you have to select because that's the one that holds the channels themselves. So here they are, sorry, okay? But that was really quick, right? If you want to edit your character and do his thing and move it around, you want to do a little translation, that's cool, have fun. But be careful, because if the happiness channels are selected, or the character set, it's not going to give you good results, because look, see, I moved it all the way over here, right? That's auto keyed, all right? But I don't get any visual feedback when my happiness control is selected. See, on the timeline. So you got to be very careful. It's actually, if you look very closely, it's actually making changes to those translate channels, all right? because auto key is on, but nothing on my timeline is actually getting changed, okay? So you gotta be very careful. That's the one downside. That's the major downside with doing this with character sets, is that there's a lot of iffy things going on the timeline and in the channel box with those selected channels. Also, we hit S to set key, it'll set them just on the channels that you're using. If you have auto key on, it'll put it on everything when you move something around, but if you hit S to set key, it'll set them on all the channels in the character set. If you're already used to working with character sets, creating new character sets for the fundamental approach I talked about might be a great idea. Think about it, see if it'll work for you. The other way you could do it is this. I'm going to take this animation and I'm going to copy keys. Right now I'm going to delete the rotate Z. The other way you can do it with is animation layers, like this person pointed out. If I paste these keys on this new animation layer from clipboard, okay, that's fine. Here's those animation curves, right, with the rotate Z. So one of the advantages of using the layers is that when you select the layer, you're automatically only working on that layer. So it's different with character sets, right? So if you select this character set and you hit S, right, it'll put a key on all these characters. Let me turn off this character set, okay? And try again. Okay, so if you select this and hit S, it'll put a key on all these channels. Okay, and I'm on the base animation layer right now. However, it's not the same as selecting the layer. You see what I mean? Because, and here's why. If I select this and I want to change it, and I have a different character set loaded, so if I'm on happiness right now and I want to put changes on like translate, I have to exit out of this character set editor. I would have to either go to none or go to my other character set if I'm on happiness. And that could be a little bit of a pain in your butt. That could add 5 to 10 seconds every single time you do that, which could add up to like an hour a day if you do it 1,000 times, right? So you probably don't want to mix these two. You probably don't want to mix C sets for the purpose of grouping channels in a visual way with animation layers, right? But if I'm on animation layer 1, okay, here's my animation layer 1. It has only those rotate Z channels on them, and that's good. That's if you're working nicely, if you know that you're only going to put rotate Z on this animation layer, then it's kind of the same as a C set. Yeah, sure, you have all these translates in the way, but it's not the same as a character set, because I can just click on base animation, here's the base. Click on anim layer 1, here's anim layer 1. So that, for me, that is a little bit of a nicer visual way. It might not provide the same functionality that you're looking for, though, because animation layers can very quickly get out of control, especially if you are not working very carefully. So to answer the question very, very briefly, yes, of course, you can use animation layers to group your animation channels together in a way that works with the fundamental approach. And I think that's a genius solution. I'm very, very happy that you came up with it and presented it in an Ask Videomail question. C-sets offer sort of the same functionality, a little bit more of that kind of grouping of actual channels together. So a little bit more of the core functionality. They might not be the best to use if you have a lot of fundamentals that you're changing, because switching between C-sets is a little bit interesting. But again, I gotta say, if you select your we're gonna keep on rolling. If you have a C-set and you're creating them just to select them in the outliner and load those channels. Select them in the outliner, load the channels. I'm trying to do it, yeah. Select them in the outliner and load those channels. Then it's a great way to get those channels really quickly loaded up into the graph editor. Okay? However, if you're using S to set key, you gotta be very careful if you're using C-sets to make sure that you have selected the right one, or if you don't want to select any C-set, that you have deselected all of your C-sets. So two ways to get kind of the same result. Animation layers a little bit a little bit quicker with the visuals and like the automatic kind of like selection of those channels that you want to put on there. But CSETs as well, as long as you're selecting them in the outliner and you know, maybe like looking over to the graph editor and making your adjustments there, I see no reason why they can't be used just like layers. So that's a great question. All of you should be thinking in these kinds of terms. I'm not sure what was the moment when this animator came up with this idea, if it was a workflow moment or if they were in the middle of a scene and just got stuck, but these are the kind of moments that you should be looking for. I know that it is difficult to be constantly on your toes. No one said that being a workflow maniac is easy, but at the same time, it is the thing that produces the quickest results in the end. I was not a workflow freak when I learned animation. I'm not sure how many of you know about that. There's a lot of new members. Maybe you don't know anything about how I learned. But it took me 5 years from the moment I knew actually a lot about CG. I'd studied and I actually, you know, I had access to a couple of 3D programs, early programs, okay? So I could manipulate objects, and I could do this, but it took me 5 years from the moment that I built my first character to the moment that I actually put some animation on a demo reel and even got like a callback, okay? 5 years is a long time. Animation Mentor is an 18-month course, and people go from 0 to 100 in Animation Mentor. So 18 months of online training versus 5 years of banging my head against a wall. I'm not telling you that workflow works because I don't know any better. I'm telling you it works because I've seen in my years of teaching now how much improvement happens when people actually think about how they're learning and don't just try to learn, okay? So another, sorry, had to do it, periodic pitch of the workflow method, had to do it. So great question. If you guys have a minute, try this out. Try to use layers or CSETs to give yourself a little bit more control, a little bit of quick visual feedback of the channel that you're working on. Maybe access that fundamental approach a little bit easier, whatever. I think it's a great question. I want to see more of them though. Please send me your Maya file if you're having problems. Maybe you don't even know what's wrong, okay? Maybe it's crashing. I don't know, but just send me your Maya file because I love to open them up and show you, just a few things in your Maya files. It's a lot of fun for me. Okay, cool. If you're ready to send me an Ask Videomail question, which I hope you are, send it to webmaster@kennyroy.com. Once again, that is the address that they all go to. I read them all, and I try to help the most people with the choices of the videos that I do make. Lecture coming up soon for this month, and I'm having a great time. Big announcements on the way. I hope you're excited. I am. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.